Hi, my name is Theo. I'm one of the founders of Webhound, and today I wanted to give everyone a little walkthrough of how Webhound works and a demo of some of its capabilities. So, at risk of just reading off the screen here, Webhound is an AI agent that builds datasets from the web. What that means will hopefully be pretty clear by the end of this video if it isn't already. So I'm going to just walk through an example. And the example is I'm going to pretend that I'm trying to start a brain supplement company and that I want to put out a new nootropic stack. And one of the things I might want to do there is some competitor research, right? I might want to know what are all the different nootropic stacks that already exist out there? What are the companies that make them? What's the price of the supplement? What's the annual revenue of the company that makes the supplement, and maybe what do people think of it? Like, what are some quotes from YouTube reviews, right? So I'll just write a quick prompt to get that. So nootropic stacks, the company that makes them, the price of the supplement, the annual revenue of the company that produces it, and quotes from YouTube reviews of the supplement. And so before I hit enter and send this off, I just wanted to touch on this drop down right here. So right now it says one shot. And what one shot means is if I hit enter, I can just leave my laptop and I'll get a notification when the data set is done. The other thing that there is here is guided mode. And what guided mode means is Webhound at each point that it makes an important decision will come and ask me, accept this, reject this, and then also at any point in the process, if I see it's going off path or I don't like the sources it's using or anything of that type, I can actually just give it my feedback and guide it in the right direction. So I'm going to do this demo with guided mode because it's a bit more involved, and one shot, you just have to press one button. So let's send it off. So the first thing Webhound is going to do when we use guided mode is it's going to design a schema for our data set. So what that means is what does the structure of the data set look like? What does each entry have associated with it? So here, each entry, right, is a nootropic stack, and we're going to have its name. We're going to have the name of the company that produces it. We're going to have the price of it. We're going to have the annual revenue of the company, and we're going to have some YouTube review quotes. So that matches up pretty exactly with what I asked for in my prompt, so that looks good, and I would approve that. The second thing we're going to have here, right, is the inclusion criteria, and that's basically what qualifies an entry to make it into our data set. And that should just be, in our case, like, is it a nootropic stack? And here we have two statements that are basically synonymous with being a nootropic stack. So since this all looks good, I'm just going to hit approve. If it weren't, right, I could just type down here, though, actually, I want you to also include some Twitter reviews, or actually, I want you to only include nootropic stacks that include L-theanine. Once that's been approved, the next thing that Webhound does is it designs its search plan. So how is it going to find the information that we want? So here it says it's going to search for nootropic stacks on major e-commerce platforms, supplement websites, and review sites, and then it's going to search YouTube for video reviews of the specific nootropic stacks. And it's going to consider it complete when it has found 50 unique nootropic stack instances. So if I were a subject matter expert, I might know of a bunch of specific sites that it should be looking at, and I could just say here, please look at X site. Since I don't, and I think this looks good enough, I'm just going to leave it as is. And similarly for completion criteria, right, here it's saying we'll find 50. If I wanted 100, 1,000, if I wanted it completely exhausted, all of those are things I could send right here. And so one of the things actually that I think I want to add here to the completion criteria is not only do I want 50 of these, I also want, at least half of them to have a YouTube review, right? Because not everyone will have a YouTube review. So I would say add to completion criteria that 50% should have a YouTube review. Now it will update the search plan for, 25 of the instances need associated YouTube review quotes. So I'll approve that. And then the last thing before Webhound starts searching is a final approval. So this just gives me time to check, is my schema okay? Is the plan okay? It doesn't have to be at that specific step that I give it the guidance, right? I can say, actually now I realized I want something else in my schema. I could type that here, right? But since there isn't, I'm just going to hit approve. So now, as we can see, extraction has started, and it fired off 3 searches: best nootropic stacks, top rated nootropic supplements, nootropic stack reviews, and it's starting by looking at a site called MindLab. And so the point of being able to see the activity like this is, if I know of certain sites that I would want to look at, or if I know certain sites I don't want Webhound looking at and I don't trust the sourcing information, I can just hit the stop button right here and say, hey, I saw you're doing this, don't do that. Or, hey, actually go look here because this information will be good. So you can really guide it as much as you would like. So while it's deploying all these parallel search agents, let's take a second to look at these other tabs up here. So we already know the schema, right, and the agent plan, because those we looked at in the setup. But then we also have this thing called agent notes. This is what Webhound will kind of use as its internal memory, and you can kind of check in here to see what it's been thinking, big picture. Another thing we have is sources, right? And this is kind of an overview of sources, how many times it's been used, and what data is attributed to it. While the overview of sources is over here on the tab, one of the cool things about Webhound is every single cell is actually sourced. So we're not making up data with AI, we're actually finding it online, and you can click on the little link icon on the in the corner of the cell, and this will show you exactly where the data that's in there came from. So everything is sourced. And you could even in post say, remove everything that comes from this source because this source is bad. Replace it with things that come from this source, which is, in my opinion, very useful. So we can see here that we've already got a couple instances, right? They're not completely filled out yet, but that will be done by the end. And we can even see it's already found some YouTube review quotes for the first, which I think is really cool about Webhound. It doesn't just search the web in the standard sense, but it can also analyze images. It can go through YouTube video transcripts and transcript them itself. So it is a little more powerful than just basic web search. Let's just check back in once the data set is complete, and then we can look at whether it has done the job correctly, and if not, we will fix it. It's been about 3 minutes, and Webhound has found about 10 items. So I'm going to go get a coffee, and hopefully by the time I'm back, the data set will be complete. So I am back with my coffee, and it looks like Webhound says it's finished extraction. You can see there are 62 items, which is above the 50 we asked for. And it seems that, about like at least half, have the YouTube reviews like we asked for. Thing is, it seems like almost none of them have the company annual revenue, and not all of them have the price, which should be relatively easy to get. So what I'll do is I'll just say deploy search agents to find the annual revenue of the companies and the price of the product. So now Webhound is going to update the schema to add company annual revenue. I'll say company annual revenue is already in the schema. Just resume searching to find this information. Now it's asking me if I want to continue searching, and it seems like it has the right idea, so I'm just going to approve that. So another thing I noticed was that not every nootropic stack had a company name, which it should. So I asked to, make sure that it's there for every single nootropic. And what it did is it deployed 29 search agents for each of the missing pieces of data, which would be pretty time consuming if you did it yourself. So I think that's pretty cool. All right, and there we go. The extraction is complete, and we can see that way more of these have the companies. If there are companies, some of them are, suspicious LLCs, so I guess that's how it is with nootropics. And we can see a bunch of different revenues and the YouTube reviews, right? And this is actually taken all directly from the transcripts. So yeah, the data set is mostly done. I can decide to make it public and share it with others, via link. I can download it as JSON, CSV, or as an Excel file. And then also in post, I can do all sorts of things, right? So say I wanted to know exactly what the ingredients of each of these are. I could say add ingredients for all of the stacks. Similarly, if I decided, okay, this looks good and I actually now want 100 or 1,000 or 10,000 instances, I could also ask Webhound for that. That's basically it. I hope this has been useful for you guys and that this product is useful to you all. And, we welcome any feedback. In fact, we really appreciate any feedback. So if anything breaks or if, you have improvements you could suggest, that would be much appreciated. Anyway, happy searching.